I took all 134 FBS football teams and put them into a single bracket to see who would win. And make sure to watch the entire video because there are some pretty crazy outcomes in it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in as we are simming 130 games today to see who wins the entire tournament. It's already taken me over 5 hours to set this up alone, so make sure to like, subscribe, and comment how far your team goes. And before we start, we have 134 teams. We need to narrow it down to 128 to make the bracket completely even. Unfortunately, the 12 teams that you are seeing now will be playing in those first games to make it 128 teams. But without further ado, let's get into our very first game. But before we do, I did make each of the 4 brackets one kind of region, I guess. Either the Sugar Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, or the Peach Bowl, just to make it a neutral site and an even playing field. As in our very first game, unfortunately, we are not going to be able to hop in as Auburn is able to take care of business very easily, winning 31-7. As in our next game, Georgia Tech and Tulane is close enough to hop into. With a minute left, Tulane needs a first down to win this game, and they're going to run it, and they're not going to get it. It'll make it a 3rd and 5. Georgia Tech has one more timeout and a chance to get this ball back. I can't imagine they'd throw it, and they're not going to, and he's stuffed again. Tulane is going to have to give this ball back to Georgia Tech with a chance to tie or win it. 51 seconds left. Haynes King can have a legacy drive here. As he's back in the pocket, he makes a deep throw, and it's caught. No shot. Georgia Tech is going to take it for the touchdown to take the lead, but Tulane still has a chance to score again. What an insane play. With 38 seconds left and 3 timeouts, they're going to have to be throwing it here. Back in the pocket, and he's got nowhere to go, and he's just going to scramble. I don't know. He's getting a ton of yards, though. I was going to say, you can't do that, but he got a ton. 1st and 10 with 29 seconds left. He drops back and is going to get very few yards, and they got to call a timeout. They're rushing to the line. I don't know why they're doing this. They have enough time. They've just lost 10 seconds. Use the timeout. You've got 2 of them, and then another underneath throw, and they're going to waste a timeout there? Very questionable coaching here by Tulane, but with 11 seconds left, they still have a chance with 1 timeout, but they're going to have to throw it deep. And a screenplay is just not going to really do it. And he doesn't even get out of bounds. They're going to waste their last time out, and we have a Hail Mary here to end the second game. Tulane's going to drop back, only 3 men rushing, and he lobs it up. He's got time, he's got the arm, and it's incomplete. Georgia Tech ends up winning that thriller. As in our next game, I don't know why both teams are wearing white uniforms, but we've got a pass in a very close game, and that might actually do it. Colorado is down to 1 timeout, and Stanford might upset Colorado in the first round. Wow. All they have to do is run out this clock, basically. And that's what they're going to do, is that is the final timeout for Colorado. Stanford runs it again. He's got a hole, and he's gone. That's going to do it. Wow. Colorado playing like they do in real life. Stanford is going to win this thing. As we are now halfway done with our games, we've got 3 winners. We need 3 more in this first round to move on to the second round. And we have another close one in the 4th quarter. 17-17. Kansas State came back down 14-0. 3rd and 2. A first down would pretty much put this game away. And they're running it with Avery Johnson, who I don't think he got it. He didn't. 4th and inches. What are they going to do here? Kansas State is going to set up for the field goal. Are they going to be able to make it is the question. It's up, and he shanked it. He missed it to the left. Now with 1 timeout left, Graham Mertz has a chance to go down the field and take the lead as he's going to hit an out route, and that's going to be a first down and more. They're going to have to waste their timeout most likely. Maybe not. The time management in this game is very odd to me. I don't know what they're doing here, but the time is ticking, and they're not getting back to the line quick enough. As finally they start to show some urgency here, they've got to move it probably 15 more yards to be able to get into field goal range. Right now it'd be a 59-yarder. Graham Mertz drops back, and there he goes. He got it. Up to the 25. 18 seconds left. That might be the game. as they're not going to call the timeout. They're just setting up to kick the field goal, and Kansas State calls the timeout. What is going on? Why do you not call the timeout and then send out your field goal kicker? Whatever. 5 seconds left. They tried to ice the kicker. Will it work? The answer to that is no. No. As Florida is going to take this one against Kansas State. As our next game is Northern Illinois and Sam Houston. This one has definitely been a snooze fest. 13-7, but it's heating up at the end. The Bearcats are on the move as he hits his wide receiver across the middle. They got the time to do it, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But he has 80 yards for a touchdown and 2 interceptions. I can see why they only have 7 points right now. But at the 33, they were showing no urgency whatsoever. They just wasted about 15 seconds. And it seems like a common theme that we're going to see in this video of teams just very poorly managing the clock, as he almost threw an interception to seal that one. It's 3rd and 5. They drop back to pass, and he's got a wide open tight end up inside the 20-yard line, and they waste their first timeout. Empty backfield here on 1st and 10 with 37 seconds left, and he's got him. Touchdown, Bearcats. As the extra point here will give Sam Houston the lead, and he puts it through. 1st and 10, let's see what they're cooking. They're mostly a run team. You know, we saw that against Notre Dame when they beat them, but they do get the first down on the pass there. But 11 yards per play is not going to work out. You're not going to make it in field goal range like that. Here we go, 1st and 10 again. He drops back. He sees nobody. Don't tell. He's scrambling. But he does get it up to about the 43, 44-yard line. 1 timeout left, though, and 19 seconds. You have to play it a little smarter here. But they've got a chance. Hampton is going to drop back, and he finds his tight end in the middle of the field, and you have to waste your final timeout. I think that loses the game for him. I think it does. The time management has been awful. There's no way they're going to be able to make it back to the line of scrimmage. And they jump off sides. So basically, they just wasted a timeout for 2 yards when it's all said and done. Nice one, NIU. Nice one. You're representing the MAC well here, and he is going to get sacked. That's going to be the game. They're not getting another playoff in time. As Sam Houston is going to take down NIU. Notre Dame fans, watch out. This might be the team to take you down. As our final game in the first round comes to an end, JMU beats Hawaii pretty easily. Hawaii scored a late touchdown to make it somewhat of a game. And after finishing up the first 6 games, we are finally able to move on to the real tournament, starting out with Ohio and Auburn. As this one was never much of a game, and Auburn took this one pretty easily, winning by 14 most of the time. As in our next matchup, we have Vanderbilt and Appalachian State. It has been a tight one all game. Appalachian State has the ball. All they need is a field goal to win it. But Vanderbilt has one more timeout and can get this ball back if Appalachian State doesn't get the first down. 3rd and 7, I imagine they're going to run it again. And they are going to get stuffed. Appalachian State has to hit the field goal. Vandy will have a chance to get the ball back with 20 seconds left, though. As Appalachian State is lining up for the field goal, and they will take a 1-point lead after making it, and it's up and good. Appalachian State takes a 1-point lead. Vandy has a chance to win the game, though. After 3 straight plays, starting at their own 19, throwing the ball away, they're down to 4th and 10, their very last play of this ball game, and they're going to need a prayer. He's going to throw it up. It's not going to get anywhere near the end zone, but it is caught. And if they would have done that earlier, they could have set up for a field goal, but that's going to end the game. Appalachian State is going to win in a big, big win. In our next game, although it was a tight one, Rice falls to LSU. Maybe you need George Cooper coaching. Unfortunately, he's not there. As in our next game, we get a shocking upset. New Mexico State takes down Pitt, who I believe was 9 overalls better than them. We have our first possible Cinderella in New Mexico State. And now our next matchup, Syracuse and Southern Mississippi. We are getting prime Kyle McCord at Ohio State right here. He just threw an interception last drive. They have 7 points on the game. Ohio State fans, this is what you're missing out on this year. But Syracuse does have 2 more timeouts to potentially get this ball back and beat Southern Mississippi, but it does seem like an upset is in the works as he's going to get this first down are very close. He is inches away, it says. 3rd and inches. This is for the game. They're running it. There's no doubt they're running this ball. And all they need is inches, and they're going to get it easily. Kyle McCord and the Syracuse Orange go down after only scoring 7 points. You know, this is a flashback to the Ohio State days. And now the winner of this game, being North Texas, is going to go on and face Southern Mississippi in the next round. It was a complete blowout the entire game. And in our next game, North Carolina stunned Texas Tech by shutting them out completely to move on to the next round, where they're going to face the winner of our next game. With that next game being Louisville versus the University of Louisiana Monroe, which shockingly is a very close game, a tied ball game with less than a minute to go. Louisville is threatening to score though, as they're very close to field goal range, and one more first down will do it, and that pretty much does it. I've got to imagine that Louisville is going to be running out the clock here, as it looks like they should be in field goal range, and that's what they're going to do, and they're even further into field goal range. UL Monroe just can't guard the run. As this one does suck to see, because it would be cool to see one of the worst teams in the college football game take down a top 25 team, but it just does not seem like that's going to happen, as Louisville is probably going to set up for the field goal on the next play. Instead, they just ran for 15 more yards. As you can see now, it's 1st and goal. I don't know, man. They went out of bounds too, so the clock stops, but they're definitely going to win this one now. It's 1st and goal. They're running it again, and he's just going to run into the end zone. Almost. He's down at the 1. So that is probably going to do it. I assume they kick the field goal here and make it, but we have seen crazier things. They're lining up now for the field goal. They might be too close. I think they might miss it. It's up, and it is good. Louisville is going to move on after almost being stunned by Louisiana Monroe. Which now leads us to the bottom half of the Sugar Bowl region, where Arkansas State and UCF are going to play in our first matchup. As this one had very little doubt, UCF is going to take it 38-8 as we move on to our next matchup. As we're going to have another blowout, and Florida State finally wins a game. DJ Ukulele might have played a good game, shockingly. I can't believe it either. We have another expected outcome, as Boston College is going to take down Mississippi State. They won 20-13. Mississippi State didn't score their first points until 2 minutes left in the game either. And then once again, we get a very predictable outcome as Clemson beats the crap out of Georgia State. Maybe they're not playing like they did in week 1 anymore. Cade Klubnik might be that guy. And as we start to sim the next game, I've got a feeling this is another game that will not be close. As I am glad I was wrong, we have a 10-7 game. USF has the ball, can tie or take the lead, and they're throwing it deep on the first play, and it's knocked away. Could have been picked, but almost could have been a huge gain. I'm glad we're finally getting a game in the bottom portion of the Sugar Bowl bracket, but I can't believe this is the one we're getting, as they're dropping back again with an empty backfield, and he gets hit as he throws. Luckily, he got it away, though. 3rd and 10, empty backfield. We got some audibles coming in, and he is dropping back to throw it again. He's getting out of the pocket, though. He's got a lot of room in the middle of the field. Gets down. The clock will stop, and he's got 21 rushes for 90 yards. My goodness. They're rushing to the line quick. 58 seconds left as they get the playoff, and they're throwing it deep down the middle of the field, and that should be enough to get a field goal already. They're getting to the line quick, and they're just going to spike it. What play calls we got going on here? Is Texas going to be one of our first big upsets as they're running the football here? Kind of odd, but we got a 3rd and 4. I wonder if they're just trying to get some yardage to set up the field goal, because they are not rushing back to the line whatsoever. This is just really bad clock management, but we might have our first OT game. As they are going to rush back to the line, what are we doing here? I just complimented the play calling, and then all of a sudden we're doing this? This is insane. They're throwing it here. Don't throw an interception. You got to get the pass off soon, and they're not going to get much. He's got to get down, and he barely does in time. 2 seconds left. USF will have a chance to tie this with a field goal. And here we are. This is for overtime, as Texas does call a timeout. Hopefully, ice the kicker. I doubt he's going to miss it from 9 yards, but we have seen crazier things. And here we go. It's up, and it is right down the middle. We're going to OT. As we can't watch all of overtime, but very quickly before I can even start recording, USF scores a touchdown, and it looks like Texas is probably going to reply, but it's a 3rd and goal, and they do get the touchdown. Texas has the ball again, and they are going to score 3 points. USF could win it here. 1st and goal, they get 5 yards. 3rd and 2 at the 3, they scored it. Did USF just score? And they did. Texas is our first major upset. USF takes them down and wins the game. As we get another big win, they're not even hopping into this one, 21-3, Western Kentucky. That is not the Western Kentucky team that I know. They do not only put up 3 points a game. As we've got another close matchup here, shockingly, Troy and NC State. Troy has the ball and they're moving it very quickly at the start. They're already up to the 46. Troy has got to hurry though. The clock is ticking. They're not hurrying to the football. They just wasted about 15 seconds. Like I said earlier, we're going to see a lot of bad, and they're spiking it. Wow. That's bad. That is really bad. But as I was saying, we're going to see a lot of bad time management. It's something that's just not put into this game very well, and I think it's been reflected here. I'm very glad that we're getting a close matchup, though, so you will take what we can get. 21-16. Could NC State be another ranked team to fall to a group of 5 school in the first round? And it looks like they get another first down. They're going to waste the timeout, though. They probably could have got to the line quickly and spiked it, but it's a good thing they didn't try with how this time management works in the game. 1st and 10, they're 43 yards from the end zone, and it looks like he's going to hurl one up, and he doesn't. He just throws it away. Smart play. You got a few more downs to try and get it. 2nd and 10, he's going to drop back, and I don't know what he's going to throw, if anything, but he's got plenty of time. The pocket collapses, and that's going to be the game. Time's going to run out. Close one, but NC State is going to hang on for dear life to win this game against Troy. As NC State will play the winner of Virginia Tech and SMU, it's going to be a good matchup. As it definitely wasn't as good of a matchup as I thought it would be. SMU made it close in the end, but Virginia Tech ultimately pulls away and is going to play NC State. After that game, we're now on to the Rose Bowl region, with our first game being Purdue and Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech takes down Purdue in pretty dominant fashion. A 20-point win for Georgia Tech as they will move on to the next round where they play the winner of our next game. And in this game, we have Ball State and the UTEP Miners. Don't tell Diddy his 2 favorite teams are playing. With UTEP taking this one and playing Georgia Tech next round, Diddy's Miners are still in it. Although Kansas isn't having a great season in real life, they're going to take this one home against Nevada. They are ranked 10 overall is better. They're still an 87 overall, even though right now, as I'm recording this video, they are 1-3. Kansas will take on USC. It was a close one at the beginning of the game, but then USC pulled away to win by 21. And we have an insane upset. Akron is going to take down Cal. They might be our Cinderella team. We'll have to see come the next round who they play. They might have a chance. But unfortunately, Akron is playing Nebraska. I know Duke is subscribed to the channel. I'm sorry, Duke. I wanted you guys to win too, but Nebraska is going to take this one home. We finally have a game to jump into as Navy is up 17-10 against Tulsa. They've had a great year in real life. Hopefully they can hold on to this one. It looked like Tulsa just muffed the punt, but I guess they didn't. 1st and 10 at their own 33. They're down by 7, and they're throwing it deep on the very first play. He's got a touchdown. No way. Tulsa scores on the very first play. I don't know if Navy's going to have the plays to kind of respond to that. They're not really a pass-heavy team at all. Tulsa's going to get the extra point up and good to tie this up. Now on the ensuing kickoff, Navy is going to return it, but they're only going to get it out to the 21. With 3 timeouts, they are not lining up in a very aggressive formation, and he dumps it off to the running back for a gain of 2. This is definitely going to overtime. There's no doubt in my mind this is going to overtime. As on 2nd and 8, he's dropping back, and he hits the running back again and actually loses a yard on that one. 3rd and 9 now. They're just going to run the clock out. We are going to overtime, and for some reason they're punting it. Dude, I have no clue what is going on. They're actually punting it away. They could have just ran the clock out. Tulsa's got a chance. He's going to get swallowed up pretty quickly. Pause. But we're going to OT. We're not going to be able to watch all of overtime, but Tulsa has been moving the ball quickly, and they're going to get a field goal out of it. 2nd and 6. Navy gets a couple, and now 4th and 1. Did they miss the kick? Navy missed the kick. Tulsa is going to take this game home. Wow, that was a insane sell from Navy. That is insane. Now leading us to the final game in the top of the Rose Bowl region, Coastal Carolina and UCLA, where Coastal Carolina is actually going to steal this one from UCLA. We have another group of 5 team moving on. Could they be our Cinderella team? Which now leads us to the second Rose Bowl bracket, where we have Stanford and Georgia playing in our very first game. Georgia got out to a very fast start, kind of like their players driving, but Stanford came back and they're throwing it deep and he misses his receiver. Now on 3rd and 16 at the 50, they have to convert or give this ball back to Georgia. And it looks like they might convert, and they do. But on 3rd and 22, they're just going to take a dump off, and this could possibly put them into field goal range. It's going to be a 52-yarder. But Stanford could take the lead against the best team in the college football video game. It's up, it's got the distance, and it is good right down the middle. And it's a 3rd and 10 with 36 seconds left. They've got to go 74 yards for a touchdown and probably 50 for a field goal. And they might have just got really close to field goal range there, as they made it up to the 45. With 30 seconds and no timeouts, this would be a 63-yard attempt. They're not hitting that. They need to get at least 10 more, and they've got it there, but they're going to have to get to the line quickly and spike this thing, which they will. Carson Beck gets the spike down with 22 seconds left, and they still have a couple shots to the end zone if they want them. They are not going to take it. They're running a read option, and he doesn't get the first down. The clock's ticking. They're not showing any hurry. Is Georgia going to lose this game by that? There is no chance. There's no shot. They're not making it back to the line to spike it. Georgia is going to lose this ball game. What were they thinking? Stanford wins in an insane fashion. This looked a lot like the Cowboys and 49ers game a few years ago. And we have another insane outcome as the in-state rival Indiana Hoosiers take down Notre Dame 24-6. This one wasn't even close enough to jump into. And in a very low-scoring affair, UConn beats Middle Tennessee 7-3. Not the Rose Bowl game you would pay to see. And we had another low-scoring game, but Wake Forest is able to pull it off 13-3 against Temple. And now we have another overtime game with Washington and Baylor. Baylor on the very first play got down to the 1, and they score a touchdown on the next one. Washington now has their chance. 1st and 10 from the 25. Dropping back, and, well, that makes my life easy. Throws a pick 6. And there goes Washington. Baylor is going to take this one home. And with 12 seconds left, could Ohio State be our next victim of falling to a group of 5 school, as it looks like it's going to go to overtime? Ohio State's going to get the ball first, and on 1st down, they're running it with Travion Henderson. He's going to get 4 out of it. 2nd and 6, they're running it again, this time with Judkins, and it's 3rd and 3. You've got a lot of threats like Abuka. I mean, one of the best freshmen in the nation with Jeremiah Smith. I don't know why you don't go to him and make it it's a 3rd and 3 now. Jeremiah Smith's in motion, and they're going to pass it on play action. Will Howard is going to run for it, and he's down to the 2. What a formation they're running, and they give it to the fullback? What was that? Are you kidding? You have some of the best athletes in the nation, and you give it to the fullback? Oh my goodness. Quinshon Judkins gets stuffed, and it's 3rd and 5. The 3rd and goal from the 5. Dude, as an Ohio State fan, this is tough to watch. Will Howard drops back, and he is going to find Abuka for the touchdown. They finally figure it out. Ryan Day is on the chopping block after this game, I'd assume. And now Old Dominion is getting the ball. They're in 5 wide. This is what I would like to see from Ohio State, but they did end up scoring the touchdown, and Old Dominion is going to get the 1st down on the very first play. 1st and 10 again, 5 wide again. Ohio State takes some notes, but Tyler Bourne gets in there for the sack. Not even JTT or Sawyer, which I don't think JTT is in the game, to be fair. But they get the sack. 2nd and 17, Old Dominion drops back. And they get more pressure on him, but nobody is there to stop the run. And he's going to pick up some yardage, but it will be a 3rd and 10. Once again, an empty backfield set. He drops back. I don't know if he's got anybody, and he's going to get sacked by Caleb Downs. 4th and 16, the game is on the line. We have seen some really great teams fall. Notre Dame, Georgia, Texas, Ohio State is not going to take themselves out of that consideration quite yet. Old Dominion with the touchdown. Unfortunately, if we watch the entire overtime, we wouldn't have enough time in this video, so we are going to have to sim it. And he got picked off. Old Dominion doesn't look like they're going to escape with this one, and Ohio State finally does it. Kicks a field goal to win the game. As an Ohio State fan, that should not have happened. And now I'm very saddened to show that my Miami Redhawks are eliminated. As many of you know, I go to Miami. This one hurts to see, but at least I still got Ohio State to hopefully carry my hope further. And in our final game in the first round of the Rose Bowl region, Fresno State takes down Florida Atlantic with a game-winning field goal within the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game. As that'll now do it for the Rose Bowl region, and we're moving on to the Peach Bowl, where Florida and UAB will start us off. And in this one, Florida is going to take it from UAB pretty convincingly in a 20-6 ball game, followed up by a very convincing win by Rutgers against Kennesaw State, and then a win by FIU in a 7-0 ball game against BGSU, and then followed up by a Colorado State win over Toledo. The MAC isn't representing well in this tournament so far. And the Big Ten keeps moving on with Maryland beating Washington State 14-2. That might be scoregami. But we had a very close one, and Iowa pulls off the win against Western Michigan. Big Ten's moving on again, and the MAC is losing again. And now Alabama is moving on, beating South Carolina. We just have not had a really close game in this bracket. And to end out the top region of the Peach Bowl, we have a 10-7 win from Air Force. It was 10-0 until the last 30 seconds of this game. Nobody had a chance to win this other than Air Force, as the player of the game had 47 passing yards. And that now moves us to the bottom of the Peach Bowl region, where Utah and Cincinnati are our first game, in which this game has gone to overtime, tied at 10 apiece, and Utah has the ball first, and they're going to get a play action on 2nd down, but not get the first. 3rd and 4 here, Utah is running the read option. Cam Rising has the first down and a little extra up to the 12-yard line. 1st and 10, Utah's got the RPO, and it looks like they're passing, which is picked off by Cincinnati. This one is going to be returned unless, I think that's 10 can catch up to him. I don't think he is. Cincinnati takes this one back on a 100-yard pick six to take down Utah. Then in our ranked matchup, Oklahoma State beat Arizona. It was a tight one all the way through, but Oklahoma State did control this game for the most part. And now San Jose State and New Mexico. It's a 1-point game. New Mexico has a chance to take the lead with a game-winning field goal here. 16 seconds left. It's going to be a 34-yarder, it looks like. And they're going to get the snap off. It's up, and it is good. New Mexico has got to hold on for about 10 more seconds here. 1st and 10 at the 21. They have got to go a long way, and that's a good start. They're up to the 41, but fighting for those extra couple yards, he lost 3 or 4 seconds. This will be the final play of the game with 3 seconds left. They're going to have to throw one up, and he did it on the run. That is not anywhere near the end zone. And New Mexico is going to take this one home. And New Mexico will play the fake Miami, who wins 14-0 over Wyoming. It was probably not a fun Peach Bowl game to watch. And in the first round, we got a battle for Paul Bunyan's axe, which is taken home by Minnesota over Wisconsin. This isn't the first time this week that a Minnesota team beats a Wisconsin team. Disappointing as a Packers fan. And Missouri is knocked off by Arizona State 23-13. That's a shocker right there. In one of the last couple matchups in our Peach Bowl region, Oklahoma takes down Oregon State 24-7. It was not really a close game all the way through. And in the final game of the Peach Bowl region, Buffalo takes down Northwestern. MAC schools are finally representing, and they will be taking on Oklahoma in the next round. And that leads us to the final region, the Cotton Bowl region, where we will get the last 2 brackets done in this first round. Once again, another MAC school is going to come out of this first round beating JMU. Eastern Michigan will go on to the next round where they'll face the winner of Virginia and Texas A&M. And to nobody's surprise, Texas A&M wins this pretty easily. And with 52 seconds left, could we see another top team fall as Illinois is threatening to beat Oregon, and they miss a pass across the middle to make this a 3rd and 10. 3rd and 10, he's dropping back. I don't think he's got anybody, but he does throw a dart down the middle of the field. He could be gone, but that's good enough. Oregon's going to have to start spending some timeouts. Illinois can pretty much run this clock out and take the field goal, which is what Illinois has decided to do. The clock's ticking and Oregon still has a timeout. I wonder if they're going to try to ice the kicker. That's the only reason I can think of why they wouldn't be calling it. As Illinois is going to line up, and on cue, here comes the time. No timeout from Oregon. Oh my gosh. Oregon just sold that game. What? I mean, they would have had like 1 second left, but wow. As this is the last play on the kickoff return, they are not going to get it. So that does it. Number 4 Oregon loses to its in-conference rival now. That sounds weird. Illinois. As Iowa State is able to handle Charlotte, it was closer than it should have been, but Iowa State does pull it off. And Ole Miss is able to pull off the win against Michigan State. The score is a lot closer than the game actually was. And then in a MAC matchup, Kent State takes down Central Michigan. It wasn't close. Kent State was about to score again at the end. But now Boise State and Louisiana have gone to overtime. This is the second overtime. Louisiana kicked a field goal, but Ashton Jeanty almost broke free. I thought he was going to get a little more than that. Not entirely sure if it's Jeanty or Genty, so I do apologize. But it is now 2nd and 6, and who else is going to touch the ball here? But he's not getting the greatest blocks, and he only gets a yard out of it. We've got 3rd and 5. They're throwing, and he does not have anybody open. He hits the defender in the back of the head, and they're going to try for the field goal to force this to 2-point conversion attempts. This will be a 37-yarder to tie, as Louisiana is going to waste their timeout and try to ice him. This is definitely not a given here. You gotta hit a 37-yarder. It's not the easiest in the world, as the kick is up, and it looks good. We're now on to triple OT, where it is 2-point conversions from here on out. This is the first time we're seeing it in this video. And Boise State's up first. They drop back. He's got nobody, but he's going to be able to run it in. Louisiana's got to answer now, or the game is over. They have 1 attempt to do it. Here we go. And they're running it, but he's going to get it. We're now in the 4th OT, and Louisiana is going to start us off here. And they're dropping back to pass. I don't see anybody, and that ball is batted up, almost caught. But Boise State has a chance to win it now. This overtime rule has been the greatest thing ever in college football, as they're going to give it to Jeanty to take it in. Boise State pulls this one off 31-29, and we'll move on to the next round. And in the final game in the top of the Cotton Bowl region, South Alabama takes down Houston, where they will play Boise State in the next round. And finally, that leads us to our very last bracket in the first round, with Sam Houston and Kentucky playing the first game. And in that game, Sam Houston kept it close most of the game, but Kentucky ultimately pulled away to win this one. And in this one too, it was close all the way up until the very end, where Tennessee pulled away to beat their in-conference rival Arkansas, which is then followed up by an impressive win by UTSA taking down Georgia Southern 21-3. And now as we get down to the final drive of this game, TCU is threatening to score and tie the ball game with Marshall. It's an incomplete pass, but there is a flag, and it looks like it's going to be pass interference, which it is. That's an automatic 1st and goal for TCU at the 1-yard line of Marshall. They've got 1 timeout. I don't know why you don't line up to run it, but they're passing, and they are going to just throw this one away. 2nd and goal, they do line up with a running back this time, but they're throwing it again, and they got a wide open receiver. Touchdown TCU. Will they go for 2, or will they take the extra point to push this to OT? And the answer to that is they are going to take the extra point, and it seems like we're going to OT. Now that we've made it to OT, we are going to sim this one out on Simcast. And Marshall's pushing, and they get a touchdown. TCU's got to respond with one, and they do. We're going to double OT, TCU with the ball first, and they are going to have to settle for a field goal. A touchdown for Marshall will win it. They're at the 4-yard line to the 3. 3rd and goal from the 2 now, and it's 4th and goal from the 5. They're going to have to make a choice, and they're just going to take the field goal. We're on to 2-point conversions. Marshall failed theirs, and TCU gets theirs. Marshall can't pull off the upset. TCU is going to take this one home. And this one was a tight one all the way through, but UNLV is going to come on top 17-13 against Memphis. And to wrap up one of our last few games in this first round, West Virginia survives a scare from Central Michigan. How do you only score 7 points in this game? And we have a pretty shocking outcome as Texas State really just ran all over BYU and won by 14, but this now leads to the game I've been most excited about, Penn State and Michigan in our first round. But unfortunately, this one was not even close enough to jump into as Michigan pulled away and beat Penn State by 11. That does officially round out the first round, and we're moving back into the Sugar Bowl region for the second round. With our first game ending in an upset as Vanderbilt takes down Auburn in a shocking game. But who Vanderbilt is facing is not a surprise as LSU is going to win 35-7. This might be the biggest blowout we've had so far, as we do have an overtime game between Southern Mississippi and North Texas. And starting out, Southern Mississippi has to settle for a field goal. North Texas could win it as they're on the 4. Now they're still on the 4, 3rd and 3, and they're going to score to win this game. North Texas is moving on to the next round. And now hopping into this game, we have a tight one between Louisville and North Carolina, 13-7. But Louisville is driving, and on this halfback screen, they're going to be able to get close to the first down. Not quite the first, though. 2nd and 2, and they're throwing back to the running back again, but he steps out after only a gain of 1, forcing a 3rd and 1. And now on this 3rd and 1, I'd expect a run, but they're not going with it. They go with a delayed route. I don't even know what that was, but it worked out. First down, Louisville. 1st and 10, they're kind of rushing to the line there near the end, but we got a shot to the end zone, and it was almost caught, almost picked off, too. Louisville's got plenty of time. They don't need to force a play like that. 2nd and 10, a minute 20 left. They don't need to go for the end zone, but once again, it seems like they're going that direction, and they are going to score. Passing touchdown there. That should put them up by 1 with the extra point, which they hit, and I simmed a little too far. Louisville got an interception on the very first play, and now they're lined up in North Carolina's territory. All they need is a first down to win this game. As now they're in a 3rd and 14 situation, and they're not going to get it. They were pushed near to the edge of field goal range as well. This is going to be an interesting call, as they are going to kick the field goal, but it is going to be around a 50-yarder. It'll be interesting to see if he hits it or not. It's up, and it's no good. They just gave North Carolina the ball back at their 32-yard line. Pretty decent field position, too. Louisville might have to be a little more aggressive than they were there. All right, 1st and 10, Max Johnson has a chance to redeem himself, and he starts out pretty hot. First down, but they don't have time to screw around. Max Johnson needs to get his team back to the line, but they show no urgency whatsoever. They have no timeouts. Clock is still ticking. It's going to be down to about 28 seconds by the time they get the spike off, and at that point, just run the play. But nonetheless, they still have at least 2 plays left. As Max Johnson is getting a lot of pressure and just gets rid of it. Smart move there, but now it's 3rd and 10. And on 3rd and 10, they're dropping back to pass. No surprise there. He's got a guy right in his face, and he just gives a bad pass. It's lucky it wasn't accurate, or it could have been picked off and going the other way. But it all comes down to this. On 4th and 10, can Max Johnson get it done? And he absolutely can. Are they going to get to the line in time to spike it, though, is the question. As we know, they don't show much urgency in these games. I think they're going to be able to get the spike off, though. With around 6 seconds left is my guess. As they're hurrying, I don't know if they're going to get it, actually. There's no chance. They just lost the game on that. They were in field goal range. They could have hit it. But Louisville is going to take this one home and wrap up the top region of our Sugar Bowl. That now leads us to the bottom half of our bracket in the Sugar Bowl region, where we start out with UCF and Florida State, where Florida State is going to take this one home with ease. This is obviously not real life, or this would not have happened. As in an ACC rivalry game, Clemson is able to take care of business, and now they will move on to play Florida State in the next round. And then follow that one up by a win by USF. They were up pretty big, but Utah State did make a comeback in the end, not close enough to jump into though. As we're joining in another ACC matchup, tied at 16 apiece in overtime, NC State with their first possession here. They ran it on the first play, and this play they're getting sacked, going nowhere. 3rd and 16, they have to go a long way, and they are not going to get a single yard. This is going to be close to a 50-yard field goal. We saw one missed before in the Louisville and North Carolina game. Could that happen again? As they're lining up now, fingers crossed, NC State fans, this one goes in, as it looks like it isn't. I thought that was in. It didn't go in. Virginia Tech, all they have to do is score 3 points here and win it. As they're going to start out, I imagine they have 3 straight runs, and there's the first of 3. NC State did not guard it well, and they got 5 out of it. 2nd and 5, you got an empty backfield. What is the play call here? All you need is 3. They're going to get 7. Or 6, technically, as Virginia Tech will take the win against NC State to finish out the Sugar Bowl region, which now takes us to the Rose Bowl region, where our first matchup is Georgia Tech and UTEP, which does end exactly how you would have expected. Georgia Tech does win. It was closer than it probably should have been, but they do win and take this one home. And in the battle of USC and Kansas, Kansas comes out on top, which might be a little surprising. Overall wise, they're one apart. Kansas gets it done and moves on to the next round. And no surprise here is Nebraska takes down Akron. Akron's Cinderella run unfortunately does come to an end here against Nebraska. And in a tight one, Coastal Carolina takes down Tulsa, only scoring field goals along the way. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That now takes us to the bottom portion of the Rose Bowl region, and we get to start out with Stanford and Indiana. And Indiana is going to take home the win. It was a lot further away than this game really shows on the scoreboard. Then it's followed up by a shocking outcome. UConn takes down Wake Forest, and they seem to be our Cinderella team. And Ohio State, which is probably the favorite left in this tournament right now, wins 21-7. They have a lot less issues with Baylor than they did Old Dominion. And to no one's surprise, I'm sure, Fresno State takes down Jacksonville State in a 26-23 ball game in our very last game in the Rose Bowl region. That now leads us to the Peach Bowl region, where our first matchup is Florida and Rutgers, which is a pretty good matchup, where we are going to be able to jump in, as Florida is now going to attempt a field goal to tie Rutgers and take this game to overtime. It's going to be a 49-yarder. The kick is up, and we can't tell from the side, but it looks good, and it is. As Rutgers is going to start with it in overtime, we got a 1st and 10 from the 25, and they're going play action, looking to the end zone, and he throws a pick? Are you kidding me? This one, he's going to be taken down, but they're already in field goal range. We already saw them hit a 49-yarder. They could attempt a 42-yarder as soon as they come out and get the win. The Florida offense steps on the field, and they're going to run it the first play, and they have a first down. Montrell Johnson with a great run. 1st and 10 once again at the 15 this time, and they're throwing it? What? Okay, again, you don't need 3, but if it ain't broke, you only need 3. You get 6. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Florida is going to win and beat Rutgers to move on to the next round. And FIU pulls off the upset against Colorado State in a 17-14 ball game. And in a battle between 2 Big Ten teams, Maryland is going to take this one home in a win. I think the most surprising part is that Iowa scored 20 points. But unfortunately for Maryland, next round they do play number 1 Alabama. That does now lead us to the bottom portion of the Peach Bowl region, where we have Cincinnati and Oklahoma State in a Big 12 showdown. And in this one, we are going to see Cincinnati get beat by Oklahoma State. I'm happy to see it, all right? Miami's biggest rival. But, you know, to my girlfriend Maggie, I do apologize. I was definitely rooting for them. And speaking of Miami, we have the fake one here on upset alert, up 10-7 against New Mexico. And New Mexico has 2 timeouts and time to get up this field, as on first down they throw an incompletion. 2nd and 10, once again they're throwing it, obviously in the situation that they're in, but it's an underneath throw. He doesn't get out of bounds. And we know the time management in this game is awful. They're not going to get back to the line by time it hits the 45-second time, as they finally start hurrying up around the 44-second mark. So I was pretty close with the 45 guess there. And they get the snap off with 37 seconds. A dot that is picked off, and the fake Miami is going to be able to move on, as they're just going to knee this one out to finish it off 10-7. And now Arizona State takes home the game against Minnesota to also move on to the next round, where they'll face the winner of our next game. And unfortunately, I joined a little late in this one, but Buffalo is going to take down the Oklahoma Sooners, and the MAC survives another round with Buffalo. That will officially end off the Peach Bowl region and now start the Cotton Bowl region, where our first game is Eastern Michigan and Texas A&M. And although Eastern Michigan was able to keep this close all the way throughout the game, unfortunately they fall a little short to Texas A&M. Playing Texas A&M in the next round will be Illinois after beating Iowa State by 17. Then unfortunately there is no magic from the MAC here, from Kent State, as this is the biggest loss in the entire tournament so far, having Ole Miss move on to the next round. And Boise State will win the final matchup in the top of the Cotton Bowl bracket, and now we're moving on to the bottom. And to start out in the bottom bracket, we've got Kentucky and Tennessee, and then we've also got Michigan coming at the end. And in the rivalry game here between Kentucky and Tennessee, we have a fight, as Kentucky is trying to upset another SEC opponent, as they did with Georgia earlier in the real season, and they get a big gain there on 1st and 10. 37 seconds left. They are in field goal range. They should be able to hit this. I imagine they are going to run the football and try to get the time off the clock, but they just put it inside the 5 with that run. 1st and goal from the 4. You don't want to score too quickly here, and unfortunately for them, they're going to go in for the touchdown. All right, with 26 seconds left, 1 timeout, and a 1st and 10 at their own 20, Tennessee has a chance to score and tie this up, or possibly win it. And to start out, they're going to have to waste their timeout immediately. That's not good. Knowing the time management in this game, they really only have one more play unless they get out of bounds, as Nico drops back here and he gets sacked. That's going to be the game. There's no chance they're going to get another snap off. Kentucky upsets their rivals Tennessee, and they are moving on to the next round, where they'll face the winner of UTSA and TCU. And in a shocking game, UTSA not only upsets but decimates TCU, and they're moving on to the next round to play Kentucky. And in this one, UNLV held a lead for the entire game up until the 4th quarter, where West Virginia took the lead and wins 10-9. And to nobody's surprise, in the final game of the 2nd round, Michigan takes down Texas State to move on to the next round. Now that takes us to the 3rd round, where we have officially merged each region into the same bracket, and we're starting off back in the Sugar Bowl region. Our first game between LSU and Vanderbilt ended up in a blowout, and sadly, Vanderbilt is done. Which leads us to our next matchup, where North Texas is going to take down Louisville. It looks like they're not going to have enough time to even get any points, and I think North Texas is going to be able to kick a field goal as well. 2nd and 6, I imagine North Texas will just continue to run the clock out, but the most amount of time that Louisville will be able to have the ball at this time is 7 seconds. And it looks like North Texas is going to take a knee and settle for the field goal, giving them the ball back with 6 seconds left, it seems like. As North Texas is out there lining up for the field goal on 4th and 8. This will put the game away. If they can hit it, it's up, and it is good. North Texas is going to beat Louisville, and they are our first Cinderella team. As it is official, Louisville didn't do anything in the 7 seconds they had. That does lead us to the meeting of 2 football powerhouses in Florida State and Clemson. We'll see if DJ Ukulele can do his thing. And with 1 minute and 15 seconds left in this game, it is a 17-13 ball game, and on 4th and 5, DJ Ukulele has to pull something out and he does to get the first down and keep this drive going. 1st and 10 now, above the 50, and DJ is running with it, but he's got a first and some more. He gets down, and they're going to be in pretty good field position with a minute left in this game. 1st and 10 at the 34 now. You got to expect they're throwing it again, and they're just going to hit the tight end across the middle of the field, but the clock is ticking. They should probably get to this line pretty quickly, especially with only one timeout. And after 15 seconds, they decide they're going to hurry up and spike it. Now it's a 3rd and 3. You lost 20 seconds. They really need to fix the time management in this game. This has been a very common thing we've discussed throughout this entire video, but now on 3rd and 3, Florida State needs something here. And they're dropping back to pass. DJ Uiagalelei makes a good throw. They missed the tackle. Clemson, wow. Clemson might have blown this game as Florida State is now at the 2-yard line with 30 seconds left in this ball game, and they need a touchdown. They're going to throw again, and he's got the tight end, but he drops it. This is clearly not the Florida State that we've seen in real life. I mean, they're still ranked 11th in the game, but DJ Uiagalelei is dropping back again. He's got nobody, but he could scramble for this. He doesn't, and it is knocked away. 3rd down. They've got 2 more chances. 3rd and goal. This is one of their 2 chances, and it gets knocked down. Wow. Okay. You know, DJ Uiagalelei is playing like he does in real life now, all of a sudden. Couldn't tell you how that happened, but it just happened mid-drive. Now lining up on 4th and goal. This is for the ball game. I don't understand why you wouldn't have ran it at least one time, but they're throwing it again. He had 5 wide open, and he throws it straight to the quarterback, who's going to make the play and ultimately end this ball game off with a 17-13 win for Clemson. And in the final game of the Sugar Bowl region, unfortunately, we don't get another upset with Virginia Tech winning 17-10 over USF. That now brings us to the Rose Bowl region, where our first matchup is Georgia Tech and Kansas, and we also might have the favorite in Ohio State in this bracket left. And in that matchup, Kansas does take down Georgia Tech. It was a pretty big lead for Kansas the entire way through, which makes sense with the overall difference. But we do follow that up with an upset. Coastal Carolina beats Nebraska to move on to the next round. We have another Cinderella team in the making. And in our next matchup, we have another potential upset as Indiana is on a 3rd and 7 in overtime, and they get stuffed by UConn. They're going to have to settle for the field goal. We've seen that this is not a given field goal, though. A 41-yarder is up, and it is good. UConn has a chance to tie or win this game. UConn now has it 1st and 10, and they're going to run it up the middle. They have a big gain, and they are inside the 10, down at the 7. 1st and goal, they're running it again, because why not after 1st down, and they get it down to the 2. Cam Edwards is running all over this Indiana defense, and they're going to give it right back to him, and he's going to punch it in to upset Indiana. UConn wins in overtime 16-13. And to nobody's surprise, to finalize the Rose Bowl region, my Ohio State Buckeyes win in convincing fashion against Fresno State. That now leads us to the Peach Bowl region, where our first game is a matchup between 2 Florida teams. And to start us out in the Peach Bowl region, Florida, to nobody's surprise, takes this one home against Florida International. And Bama, another favorite, takes down Maryland in what was a tight contest for most of the way through, but when I was about to jump in, Bama did take a pretty commanding lead. And in our next matchup, it should have been closer than it was, but Oklahoma State takes down the fake Miami. And then unfortunately, to end off the Peach Bowl region, the fan favorite Buffalo falls to Arizona State. Which now takes us to the Cotton Bowl region to find the last 4 teams in the Sweet 16, starting off with Texas A&M and Illinois. And shockingly, Texas A&M demolishes Illinois to move on to the Sweet 16 round, where they'll be playing an in-conference rival in Ole Miss after blowing out Ashton Jeanty and the Boise State Broncos. And taking the second to last spot in the final 16 teams is Kentucky, as we have another pretty big win. And then we get another blowout. No Counter Stallions, no problem. Michigan wins 27-11 to take the final spot in the Sweet 16. That'll now take us back to the Sugar Bowl region, where our 2 matchups are LSU versus North Texas and Clemson versus Virginia Tech. And with 1:13 left in this game, North Texas has a chance to pull off another upset and make it to the Elite 8, as they're taking the ball on 1st and 10, and they're launching it downfield where they have the first down. He looks to stay in bounds, though. As he was in bounds, they get back to the line, and they're going to spike it. They did lose 12 seconds, but they've got plenty of time and one timeout. At the 25, 2nd and 10, they're back to throw. The O-line is blocking amazing, and he can just take off with this. He might go all the way, but he's down at the 5-yard line. Plenty of time. They don't need to waste the timeout. They don't need to spike it. Just get back to the line and run a play. North Texas gets back to the line, snaps it, and he sidearms it, and that was a dangerous pass on 1st and goal. LSU fans are sweating bullets right now as they're going to run the football. What a play call in this moment. I love that play call, and they're going to waste their final timeout, which they don't need since they're only at the 2-yard line. Great play call, great use of the timeout. On 3rd and goal, they're throwing it. He had 26, but he can scramble for it, and he gets it. North Texas takes the lead with 20 seconds left. With 17 seconds left in all 3 timeouts, all LSU needs is a field goal to tie this thing up. And dropping back, they're going to get some yards here. They're probably going to use the timeout, which they do, and they've got a chance. At the 39, I'd imagine they need about 25 to 30 more yards, and they're not going to get it on that. They're not going to have enough time to kick a field goal with only 5 seconds left. It's now or never for LSU. Hail Mary time. As they're sending 4, they get to him pretty quickly, and he has to throw it, which just gets knocked down. And North Texas is going to win this game 17-14 to move on to the Elite 8. And taking on North Texas in the regional final will be Clemson after they handle their business pretty easily with Virginia Tech. This now takes us to the Rose Bowl region, where we're going to see Kansas and Coastal Carolina square off, followed up by UConn and Ohio State. To start out the Rose Bowl region, we get an upset with Coastal Carolina moving on to the Elite 8 after beating Kansas, followed up by the biggest win in the tournament by my Ohio State Buckeyes, who are moving on to the Elite 8, where they'll face off against Coastal Carolina. That now takes us to the Peach Bowl region, where we have some pretty good matchups with Florida versus Alabama and then Oklahoma State versus Arizona State. To start out the Peach Bowl region, we have an upset with Florida beating Alabama 24-13. And although the score was close, the game never was. Arizona State takes down Oklahoma State to move on and play Florida in the Elite 8 matchup. Now we're looking for the last 2 teams to make the Elite 8 in the Cotton Bowl region, where it'll be between Texas A&M and Ole Miss, followed up by Kentucky and Michigan. Ole Miss absolutely dominates Texas A&M to take this one home and move on, where they will play the winner of Kentucky and Michigan. And unfortunately, Michigan will move on as they routed Kentucky. And that'll now take us to the regional championship games, where our first one is between North Texas and Clemson in the Sugar Bowl region. And from here on out, we are going to be simcasting the rest of these games as Clemson starts out up 7-0. North Texas responds, and then Clemson also responds 14-7 at halftime, and it looks like we've got ourselves a game here, as we're going to jump in with 1:20 left in this game, tied at 14 apiece. North Texas is driving down the field, and they are going to throw a dot, put them in field goal range, and Clemson is going to have to start wasting some timeouts. 1st and 10 at the 23. They're going to run the football and play it smart, but they have a huge hole, and he is going to be down inside the 10, and he stays in bounds as well, forcing Clemson to call a timeout. This one is almost over. North Texas is about to win the Sugar Bowl region. But to do that, they're going to have to run out the clock, and it's a good thing he got tackled there. The computer does not know how to go down, but it goes down after being tackled inside the 5. 2nd and goal here. All they have to do is run 2 more plays, let the clock chew down, and then kick the field goal. But instead, they're going to try to go for the touchdown, and he goes out of bounds to stop the clock. 3rd and goal. They messed up on that one. At this point, just score the touchdown, which they are going to do, but you give Clemson the ball with a minute left in this game, as Cade Klubnik and Clemson are going to get this ball at the 25-yard line with 50 seconds left to try to score, and the first ball is picked off. Klubnik is picked off, and North Texas is going to take this one home. North Texas shockingly wins the Sugar Bowl region, where they will play the winner of our next game, Coastal Carolina and Ohio State. As here we go, we are simcasting the Ohio State and Coastal Carolina game as Ohio State gets out to a lead 7-0, and then 14-0 at halftime. Coastal Carolina scores 3, but this is not going to be enough, and Ohio State is going to take this one home pretty easily, 14-3, with our next matchup being Arizona State and Florida. And to start out, Florida will get the ball where they'll score 7 points. Arizona State responds, and then they're going to get the ball back and score again. 21-7 at halftime. Arizona State is looking to be a team in the Final Four, but it looked like Florida had a chance, so I jumped in, and they didn't. Florida's going to lose to Arizona State, who will now make it to the Final Four, where they'll play the winner of our next game. As we've now got Ole Miss and Michigan in a really, really good battle here, but Michigan is up 14-0 early, 21-0 early, and I think it's pretty safe to say Ole Miss isn't going to be coming back, although they are going to score 7, but that's obviously not enough as Michigan takes down Ole Miss, and we officially have our Final Four teams. Now, if you were to tell me before the video that you guessed these 4 teams, Ohio State, Michigan, North Texas, and Arizona State would be the 4 remaining teams, I would say that you're a liar. But we're going to have a very interesting finish to this one, and now we are going to be playing them all in the national championship game. Hold on to your seats. Here we go, starting out with Ohio State and North Texas. And here we go. Here is our first game with Ohio State running out onto the field, followed up by North Texas here in a second. We're going to be simming this game a little slower, but obviously there is a pretty heavy favorite in this game, but North Texas could make something happen. As here we go to start out, North Texas is going to receive the ball, and they're going to get stuffed on their first possession. And now Ohio State's got it. They're moving it slowly, and they get stopped. North Texas gets it back. Another stop. Defense is reigning superior here as Ohio State turns it back over. And we have nothing going on here in the start of this game. But North Texas is in field goal range, and they do make a field goal to take a 3-0 ball game early in the second quarter. And Ohio State's threatening as we get to the end of the second quarter, but they only get 3. Defenses here are just dominant. And at halftime, we get a 3-3 ball game. Kind of shocked Ohio State's not out ahead already, but they do get the ball, and they just punt it right back. And North Texas is kind of moving it. They've got it inside the 30, and they score a touchdown. North Texas is up 10-3 against my Buckeyes. We got to pull something off here, man, as they get a huge run from Quinshon Judkins, 41 yards, and then a touchdown from Will Howard to tie this thing back up. We're going to have a tight one that we're probably going to be able to jump into as Ohio State gets the ball back with 3 minutes, and they are at the 50. They're going to have to punt this away to North Texas. And North Texas is punting it right back. Let's hop in. With 1:45 left here in this game, Ohio State has a chance on 2nd and 8 to push this into field goal range and take the lead as he is going to hit. Is that Travion Henderson underneath for a first down? And they're pretty close to field goal range. This is about a 54-yarder if they took it from here. As Ohio State lines back up, they've got the tight end, G. Scott, in the backfield, and Will Howard is getting out of the pocket. He's going to get some yards and slide down as North Texas is forced to take their first time out. 2nd and 3, they're running it with a read option. Will Howard kept it, and that was dangerous. That could have resulted in a fumble, but now it is a 3rd and short. If they get the first down, this game is pretty much over with only 1 timeout remaining for North Texas. But if North Texas can get the stop, we could have ourselves a game. As the snap is off, and they're running it with Quinshon Judkins up the middle. Who else? He goes in for the touchdown. That leaves the door open for North Texas. North Texas, down by 7 with 1 minute left and 1 timeout, has a chance to tie this up against Ohio State. But Caden Curry's getting back there quick, and Sawyer just finishes him off. Pause. That's going to be a 2nd and 18 after a big sack. Pause. And as we know, the time management in this game is something that needs to be improved upon. They let it go down to 18 seconds before they get the snap off and spike it. They just lost 22 seconds, and they have 35 left now to score a touchdown, and only really a couple plays left. 3rd and 18, they're going to have to come up with something big here, and they're running it on a halfback draw. And they're not going to call a timeout. What am I seeing right now? North Texas, you've made it this far. Even as an Ohio State fan, I want to see more than this. Are you kidding me? They're going to have to get back to the line quick, and you can't run a halfback draw here. Wow. They just finally, okay, man. Okay. This is it. North Texas last chance here to beat Ohio State and move on to the championship game, and they are not going to. I think that was Lathan Ransom back in coverage, makes the stop, and my Buckeyes are heading to the championship game where they'll face the winner of Michigan and Arizona State. Could this possibly be setting up for a Michigan-Ohio State national championship? Here we go, our second semifinal matchup as Michigan comes out of the tunnel now, led by Alex Orji. We know that's not gone great in real life. We'll see how it goes this game as they're taking on Arizona State today. It's going to be an interesting one. Here we go. Once again, we'll be simcasting, and to start out with, Arizona State gets the ball, and they're moving it up the field, but they do get stopped as Michigan takes over and then also gets stopped. Are we going to have another defensive game? The answer to that question looks like yes, but Michigan is threatening at the end of the first quarter, and Orji throws the ball away. They're just going to take 3, but Arizona State can't seem to move the ball. It doesn't matter if Michigan can't score every possession if Arizona State simply cannot move the ball. And Michigan threw an interception. Arizona State has a chance to score before halftime, which they will get 3 out of. 3-3 ball game at half. Starting the second half, Michigan is going to get the ball, and they're moving it up the field, and they're going to get 7 out of it. Touchdown, Michigan. Arizona State's got to respond, and they are moving the ball up the field at the end of the third, but they get the field goal blocked. Michigan could finish this game off right here, and it looks like as they miss a field goal, and then Arizona State gets picked off. Michigan, if they score here, the game is over, and it is absolutely over. There's no need to even hop into this game. Michigan is going to be playing Ohio State in the national championship game, and after over 130 games simmed, we are finally down to the last one where we have Ohio State and Michigan squaring off in the national championship game. We had a lot of Cinderella stories to get to this point, but we have finally made it where we have the Ohio State Buckeyes squaring off against Michigan. This would be my dream. As an Ohio State fan, I would love to see this. Obviously, the outcome I'm looking for here would be part of my dream, and if it wasn't the part of the dream, there's another outcome where Michigan wins the game, it would be the nightmare. But without further ado, we're going to get into this game, and hopefully it's a close one that we're able to jump into at the end and be able to see how this thing goes down. As Ohio State is going to start out with this football, they're moving it up the field very quickly, and they're going to continue to converting on third down after third down, and they get a touchdown. TreVeyon Henderson starts this thing out strong for my Buckeyes, but Michigan is moving the ball quickly, and it looks through the air as well. Very, very interesting there. Michigan does not convert on fourth down, and Ohio State is starting. Looked like they were starting to take over, but they're going to have to kick for 3. Michigan needs to just get points on this drive, which they're getting close, but they miss a 57-yard field goal, and Ohio State can really take advantage of that here, but they don't. They punt it right back, and Michigan gets the ball at halftime. 10-0 Michigan's ball. They're moving it quickly on the ground, and they score a touchdown. Okay, we got ourselves a game here. Michigan gets the ball back, and they're already at their own 34. Special teams is an issue for Ohio State, evidently, and it's a 10-10 ball game. Driving down the field, not at all. Not at all, actually. Ohio State throws an interception, and this is rough, man. This is really rough. 3rd and 5, 4th and 5. Michigan takes the field goal. Ohio State has a chance to score here, and that's where we're going to try to jump in. I take it back. It simmed too far. Michigan has the ball now after a punt for 26 yards. But now with 2 minutes left, we're going to jump in. 2nd and 10 at Michigan's 40, down by 3. Ohio State has to score here to at least push this game to overtime. Will Howard drops back. He's going to throw it deep, and he's got Carnell Tate. First down, they're in field goal range. Michigan might have to start wasting some timeouts. 1st and 10, Howard drops back, and he is going to nearly throw an interception. Will Johnson was right there. He's lucky to get away with that throw. 2nd and 10, the Buckeyes are still looking for a touchdown, but a field goal would do them just as well good as G. Scott is going to take it. 3rd and 1 at the 17. I'm shocked Michigan isn't taking a timeout here, trying to get this ball back because Ohio State is in a spot where they should pretty easily score. So here we go on 3rd and 1. I'd have to imagine you're running with Quinshon Judkins, but they're not. Quinshon Judkins in motion. Will Howard goes outside of the pocket. He didn't need to try escaping the pocket. Derek Moore gets a sack. Now we're going to have a field goal attempt to tie this thing up. Now I really don't understand why Michigan's not taking one of their 3 timeouts. They just let 40 seconds go off this clock that they could have had to try and score. And instead, they let Ohio State run it all the way down and kick a game-tying field goal. Wow. Michigan's going to get this ball back with 32 seconds left and all 3 timeouts. They could have a lot more time and 1 less timeout. Orji drops back, and he's just going to hit Donovan Edwards for a short gain. I think this thing's going to overtime. It does not seem like Michigan has any urgency to try and win it in regulation. As the clock is down to 3, 2, and 1. Orji does get the snap off. And Donovan Edwards is just blown up in the backfield. I don't know what was going on there, but hey, we got some OT in the very last game in the championship. And here we go. Michigan won the toss, and they deferred to second possession. The Buckeyes got it here first, and on 1st and 10, they're going to hand it off to Henderson, who gets blown up. That's 2 big plays in a row from Moore. Ohio State's got to stop him. 2nd and 13, I say you go for the freshman. Jeremiah Smith is at the bottom of the screen, and Will Howard is just bull rushed and gets sacked. The O-line here is looking terrible. 3rd and 20. Ohio State's got to have a miracle here, and they got to try to get some yards for field goal position. And they almost threw an interception. What are we doing? If this happened in real life, I would be calling for Ryan Day to resign. And if he doesn't resign, fire him and not allow him back onto campus. As the field goal is up, it's going to be a tough one, and he misses it. Wow. That's given me flashbacks to a few years ago. I'm not liking it. And now 1st and 10 for Michigan, where Donovan Edwards takes it up the middle, and he gains 3. They can just kick it and win the game. 2nd and 7. They're going to hand it off again to Donovan Edwards, and he is just going to break through. And that's, I mean, there you go. Ohio State fans, I'm sorry. I'm upset for you. I can't do anything about it, unfortunately. It's 1st and 10 here. I don't. If I'm Ohio State, I'm letting Donovan Edwards walk in. End the misery. Just let it end. 2nd and 9 now after a 1-yard gain. So here we go. I'm sure it's another run. And I think we're getting word that Connor Stallions was on North Texas' sideline in the semifinal. I think that's why Michigan is at the spot they're in. I could be wrong, though. 3rd and 6, 1 more play before the game-winning field goal is going to be kicked. Why are they throwing it? Why are they throwing it? Denzel Burke, you can't knock that down. You've got to pick that off. Wow. So here we go. After over 130 games, this could be the end, as Ohio State's going to call out to timeout to ice him. But this could be it. This could be the final play in our 132-team tournament. And here we go. The kick is up, and it is good. Michigan wins the championship. I mean, here's one way I didn't fake it. I'm not going to let my least favorite team win it all. Michigan fans, congrats. Ohio State fans, another year of misery for us. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching the video. I appreciate it. If you would leave a like, comment how far your team made it, anything, how much you liked the video or you disliked it, anything. And to subscribe would be awesome too. This took me over 17 hours, finally finishing it. But thank you guys so much. I appreciate all the support you've given me. And hopefully you guys enjoy this. But Michigan fans, again, congratulations. And I'm sorry, Ohio State fans. As I was saying before, that's my nightmare. But thank you guys again for watching. I hope to see you guys back soon. Peace.